Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome back to Company of Heroes 2. So this time we're talking about the Germans and sort of the weak points that they have, so that means that, again, this is going to be a loss. This one's actually a loss. The other one I consider a loss, but this one I actually have the loss recorded as that. Anyway, I'm going ahead and I'm starting off with the typical sort of German build that I've been working on practicing with, but this one's going to represent pretty nicely some of the things that can go horribly wrong when you're playing as the Germans. You're going to see my opponent is going for a start that is very similar to my own, where you just sort of build a lot of conscripts early on and you don't build anything else. I actually played a game pretty recently where I didn't build anything other than conscripts the entire damn match, but not necessarily that effective unless you're going for like a 10-minute match and just penning your opponent in so hard that they can't actually do anything. But other than those sorts of victories, you know, conscripts, great unit. The fact that they can just sort of turn them out this quickly is to their huge advantage. So we're going to go ahead and just move along pretty quickly here. The first little bit is, again, pretty uninteresting, but you're going to see that my opponent is very, very quickly going for these conscripts and is sort of just spamming them. And it's a very effective strategy to do that, and they're a very effective unit to do that with. So he's spreading around the map, he's doing a good job of capturing everything that he needs to be capturing, as you would expect. I managed to get my unit into the church building, which is a good building to get them into. And he just sort of runs around and circles around it, which I think is cheesy as fuck. I don't think that this should actually work the way it does. He does lose quite a lot of conscripts, though, running away, so that is, I guess, okay. Over here we've got grenadiers, various places, capturing and doing whatever it is they're going to do, but my opponent has just basically got nothing but conscripts. At this point in time, he's learned Molotov cocktails, so this church building is not anywhere near as much of a threat as it used to be. He's hopped along into this building. We're going to be able to do a pretty good job of shooting at him, but he's running in from the side with two more units. I've got a mortar here. I should have actually noticed that he was just spamming conscripts and have gone for a much faster, different build. I've moved my unit in and out of the church because with all these units around, he was going to be able to burn them out quite easily. This unit gets killed over here, but I should have actually just stayed in the building so he couldn't take the machine gun. But you can just see that early on, I'm just getting crushed by this sort of rush. And somehow his units are invincible to mortar fire, getting directly hit, and then suddenly just two die. It's really weird. He's got a machine gun just right outside my base, moving it back, that's fine. Either way, though, I'm doing an okay job of like capping around back and stuff like that, rather than just letting the fact that I'm behind keep me down too much, but he is trying to pen me in really hard here. His machine gun I do manage to sort of take out simply on virtue of having my units sort of around, so that does help. So yeah, my opponent has got his units sort of just running in and really crushing me in shock attacks. He's got this mortar, and he's finally built his building, but you can just see he's coming up constantly with waves and waves of attackers. All he's getting is the one mortar, basically. He doesn't really need anything else. Honestly, his machine guns are not very good compared to mine, but either way. I've come up with this flak truck, and this should actually do a really good job, but all it's doing is wounding people. Like, I've never seen a flak truck do this bad at actually killing people, and for some reason this was sort of not shooting in a lot of situations, but yeah, so this unit over here as well is just gonna get a little bit dinged up, but it's not actually going to die. This unit, it's getting hit more, but like, now they finally take some losses, but it took so long before they actually started taking losses. They were like at 0 health. Either way though, he's trying to grenade my assault truck. I'm trying to keep it alive as best I can, but it's not doing anywhere near as much as it really should be doing. I mean, these hits are usually really good at taking out infantry. But either way, I've managed to chase away his units yet again. I've lost a lot of munitions, and this is something that you're quite weak with when you're playing as the Germans. You use up tons and tons of munitions. Fortunately for me, I do find and catch and kill this mortar squad here, so that is good. He unfortunately kills mine as well, but you know, my mortar just was not really doing all that much useful anyway. The weird thing is that mine actually disappears off the map. I should have taken the time to grab his. Either way, he's got a fast T-34. It's just faster to get that than it is to get a Panzer IV, so that just is going to happen. And that's going to manage to push me back, and I'm going to basically be able to retreat in relatively good order. I've got this Opel Blitz cargo truck, which has been sitting back here giving me points, but that's neither here nor there. The thing is that I need some anti-tank at this point in time. I've got some Panzer Grenadiers, but part of the problem here is that I can't actually get the anti-tank weaponry yet. If we look here, I've only got 70 munitions, and these guys need 120 before they can become an anti-tank unit. So I'm coming out with this anti-tank gun. It's going to try and attack this T-34, but I can't actually lock the T-34 down. So the reason that this has all sort of gone to pot is because, like, really early on, my opponent managed to get sort of a big advantage by swarming over me with a lot of units that I couldn't counteract and I couldn't respond to. Just the sheer number of those units is enough to keep me from being able to actually fight effectively. Now, I've moved my HMG into this building. He started throwing grenades into it and immediately just kills it. But, you know, is the way it is. I got my mortar pushed up way too far forward. But I'm getting hits on it on the side. He's got fire coming in, that's what he is. I've moved this forward because I kind of wanted to Panzerfaust this, and I knew I couldn't get out of there anyway, so there wasn't a whole lot of point trying. But, like, yeah, because my opponent has so much map control and so many units, he's able to get his army just sort of into the center point, and I can't really dislodge him with my forces. I don't have great forces to dislodge an entrenched player. I don't think anyone in this game actually does, but, you know, that's sort of the way things are. Either way, though, I'm in an okay position tech-wise, and I can finally get my Panzer IV, so that's what I'm going to get now. But I'm in a bad state here, and, like, I've got some units backcapping around here to try and stop him from getting a little bit more ahead, but my opponent is not really expending any of his resources here, and you're going to actually see him use that to his advantage later on. So over here, my opponent has just got a whole ton of troops. Like, he has a lot of troops over there, but he's also got incendiary artillery again. I think this has like a 1-minute cooldown, so it's a really great attack if your opponent is jammed up in a choke point like this. You just keep dropping it, and there's nothing they can really do. So that is kind of the way of that. But in any event, when you're playing as the Germans, like, the reason that I ended up in this state is really because I couldn't afford to use the munitions that I need simultaneously with the manpower that I need to expend, or the fuel. Like, you need to use all of your resources, and you'll end up running out of them if you want to do well enough in the early game. Like, if I hadn't used those grenades early game, I would have been in a much worse situation. I was already in a pretty bad situation, but, like, I just need it for so much stuff. Like, I can do a strafing run now, but here they've got an armor back hit with a grenade against my unit. My counterattack can start here to a certain degree, but on the other hand, like, he's got some pretty entrenched troops, and this unit's got its engine busted. While I'm off here with my goddamn engineers, I need to really build another engineer unit. But in any event, though, like, I'm at least able to push my opponent back a little bit, retake this sort of area here, which gives me access to a lot of resources that I've been working on taking. I'm going to retreat back these engineers, but you can see that I lost that momentum because the engine got busted from that grenade, and once you don't have that sort of momentum, my opponent was able to get this sort of Zis over here, and he's able to get T-34 repaired up and ready to go, and all his units are back up to full health. I'm struggling to keep my units even in the game here, but we're going to see that, you know, it's going to go even worse from here. So with T-34 up here, it's basically a matter of time before he's going to be able to sort of crash through my lines. Fortunately, I can hold this point here. Like, that's about it, though. But the problem is going to be that he's going to use his artillery quite well, and just completely wreck me.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Okay, so I finally got the Panzerschrecks. I'm just scouting out around. I want to know where my opponent is. I managed to lure these guys into, like, range of some awful pounding there, but again, he just uses fired artillery, and I have to retreat, and my ability to counterattack completely goes away. So let's check the... Yeah, so that's already just about done. I think I'm pretty sure it is 1 minute. Either way, I've got my Panzer IV, I've got another one hanging down here. If I handled this guy a little bit better, I probably could have won this battle, but as it is, like, I screw up with this quite badly. So, in any event, I'm trying to sort of micro around this thing so that I can kill his stuff, but isn't going to work out quite well for me. Now I'm going to lose this Panzer IV. I didn't know that that was a detonation charge there. In any event, though, Yeah, he manages to come in and take my guy out there. I did kill quite a lot of infantry on that charge, but yeah, not really good enough. This one's gonna come in as well, and like, I don't actually know how my Panzer IV gets killed so quickly. He doesn't really have any dedicated anti-tank here. Panzer Shrek is actually in his hands now, which is bad, but I mean, his unit is pretty busy, so I guess it's because the IS-2 comes up, but the IS-2 is not actually good at anti-tank, so I'm surprised it managed to shred through my Panzer IV that fast. It's not surprising at all that his IS-2 took no damage at all from mine. It's one of the heaviest tanks in the game, but at the same time, their tech's not necessarily that good against infantry, tanks. They're good against infantry, it's great against infantry. But in any event, at this point, I've basically lost the game, and I basically know it. I'm going to try and fight my way back out of here if I can, but I mean, there's not much hope here. I'm pulling in some more anti-tank. I would at least like to be able to kill the IS-2. But they've got the incendiary barrage again. They can use the incendiary barrage just as much as they want. At this point in time, I'm forced to like try and fight IS-2 with the Stug. A Stug does not actually deal damage to an IS-2, but basically I just wanted to keep him busy with something until I could get my infantry up here and try and disable his engine, but unfortunately my grenade did not disable his engine, so now I have no chance really of catching up with the packs. So this game was a game that had a lot of luck fall against me. Like, a lot of those shots early on, if I had gotten some of them, would have really let me win the game, basically. But as it was, I just sort of got crushed, because what I'm talking about is that early on with that flak truck, if it had caused as many casualties as I usually see enemy ones cause, it would really have just helped a ton. And again, I would have also liked it if my goddamn unit could have taken out these guys, but apparently conscripts are better than Panzer Grenadiers, and at that point I have to quit the game because I have nothing that can stand up against this attack. So yeah, that's sort of the weakness of the German army. If you want to survive the early game, like I was able to sort of hold on up to here about early on because I was using a lot of munitions, I was using a lot of grenades, and I was using a lot of special abilities to try and hold on here. But my abilities cost a lot of munitions. His grenade costs 15. I think mine costs 45, so let's go over to me and look at... I don't think I even have any non-fleeing units of infantry, but my grenades, for reference, it's 45 for that one. So my abilities cost a lot more munitions, which cuts into my ability to fight in the mid-game. So you sort of have to survive early game without using any munitions, and if you can do that, you can usually win. But if you can't, if you have to spend them early on, you're pretty much going to be screwed later on. So it's that trade-off that you have to do as the German faction. Anyway, I hope you found this enjoyable, and of course, as always, I hope to see you all next time.